הרב החוסי, הרב מנחם מנדל רסקין, that is going to try to elaborate and to tell us and to explain us exactly what the Rebbe wants from us. And yet before he starts the shiur, we'll all be zoichet to have the שיעור from Golus and his gals from the Rebbe taken from Yad Mamash. הרב רסקין, בבקשה. אוקיי, הרב רסקין, בבקשה, היבון. תראה לנו את הרב רסקין.
Das ist der zweite Helm.
Yeah.
45 years ago, Tovshin Lametes was the year that Iran became what it's happening now. Started the revolution in Iran when Khomeini came up was exactly 45 years ago. On that time, the Rebbe made a Fabrengen to Bishvat Tovshin Lametes. And you can see over here Sif Lamed Zayin. The Rebbe is asking that comes to a Fabrengen Chamisha Savov, people are asking, with 20 years ago, we didn't hear from such a Inyan. And Kamo Vekamo Shonim, we didn't hear from such a Inyan. And Ma Yoimi Yemayim, what is different this year from all the other years? So the Rebbe explained, and he says like this: when there is more darkness in the world, we have to be moisif in Eir. Even that with a generation or even a year before, the Eir, what was in the world was enough, but now we have to be moisif in the Eir. Because the choshech became bigger. The Rebbe says in Sif Lamed Ches, he goes into details about the prayers for Tu B'Shvat. We're going to skip that. We're going to go straight to Sif Lamed Tes. The Rebbe says like this, and I was a bocher learning in Old Torah, and it was a big shock. With Tamol, we hear the Rebbe crying. And the Rebbe was crying for 20 minutes about Moshiach. The Rebbe says, we need a inyan shel chidush, because kamo vekamo b'nei Yisrael, there is missing simcha rachmana litzlan. We are tired from suffering in Golus. And we are tired from waiting for Mashiach. And the Rebbe says, it ataino tzedekes, ad mosai. Madoch, in the time for Nevuas Yeshayahu, was this question, Shemer ma milaylo, Shemer ma milayl, and b'derech shekodmonu, before the Gzeres Rachmon Litzlan, of Meshin Gishrien, over Kotzir, Kolokoitz, Vanachnu Lenishanu, Alachas Kamo V'Kamo, after that we went through all the Inyanim, and Yoda Inish B'nafshe, his Maimed Umatzev, so he's screaming, becomes a Zaike, Boikas ad leva shomayim ad mosai. And he said, Mishreit, Umibet, Umishvait, and he bring a moshel for the Chassidim, bring B'Shem HaMagid. The whole inyan of Golus is a father that is hiding from his son. And the Kavone is not because he doesn't want to be with his son, Chaz v'Shalom. The whole idea why the father is hiding is that the son should be mis'orer with that shuka. He should go suchen and to find the father. When the son is always together with the father, you can't see the shuka of the son. He should be together with his father. Tainuk tmidi eine tainuk. When the father is hiding from the son, then the son is being nis'er mit that shuka to see the father. Haitochen, he doesn't see the father. I'm going to go to the next page. The Rebbe says, the noch he has tainus, we don't see, es eseinu l'roinu, v'leitonu yedei admo, ozav Hashem esaros chaz v'sholom. He's stopping to look for the Eibishter. And this is what we say in the Moshe. When the father, he sees that the son is not looking for him, here becomes the real Golus. And this is where the Rebbe will start to cry. Calls man, the son is looking for the father, so it's a hachone, it's a nitzutz, it's a beginning of a geula, because he's looking for his father. And he has his rotzen and his ishtadlus. When he stops to look, then becomes the onechi haster asiponai, like the Baal Shem Tov explained. The hester alein is in Eifer von hester. He doesn't know that it's a hester. But Pashtus, he doesn't think about Gettlichkeit. He thinks about the world. And the Rebbe continues, and where Bishas mitainet mit him, he says, what do you have tainus to me? The tainus has to be to the Eibishter. Ad Mosai. The father has to hide from the son, kedei the son should look for him. And he should have a tshuka, that he's in a eretz siyavoy blimoim. But Bishas steckt him rein, he's in a choshech koful, in a very big darkness. And then we say, if the Rishonim kemalachim, we are kibnei Odom, and then continues, not afilu the chamer shel Reb Pinchas ben Yair. We demanding he should halten in ein suchen, he should look. And this is where the Rebbe was crying a lot. Sunti gesucht, Monti gesucht. He's looking Sunday, he's looking Monday. And we're looking for Hasbore, we look in the Sifrei Musar, in Sifrei Chassidus, and then we find a Psak Din Bor in Gemara, that Kolu Kol HaKitzin, Vein Adover Tolu Yelu B'Tshuva, and we have a Psak Din Bor, that when we have a Hirhur Tshuva, we're becoming a Tzadik Gomer. So there is no Metzias from a Jew that by him this doesn't exist. Hirhur Tshuva, Nalachas Kamu Kamu in our generation. Kopanim in Sif Mem, the Rebbe says, so that's the reason that today we have to be Meisif in Eir, not Stam Eir, no, Eir HaMesameach, Eir that is connected with Simcha, and Simcha is Peretz Geder, Peretz Zigdorim from the Welt, and Peretz Zigdorim from the darkness, Chesher Kofel und Chuppel. The next Farbringen is also Tovshin Lametes, Motzei Shabbos Tazria Umetzeir. That was the time that the Rebbe was Farbringen Motzei Shabbos. The Rebbe is asking a question in Sif Tes. What's the inyan of Sfira Soimer? To count that there is another day that passed by. Doesn't depend on him. He doesn't have control on the day. He can change nothing in that. There is no nafkemina if he will count the date or he will not count. This day will pass, and it's going to come the Yom HaChamishim. When Afal Pichein is in page Ches, we tell them that there has to be Sfira Soimer. Not only that the Beis Din is going to count the days, it's a mitzvah on every single Jew that he has to do this mitzvah. And what's the mitzvah? That he's saying, I know that there is another day that passed by. The Rebbe brings. So the Rebbe asked the question, we're going to skip a little bit, where there's the line, L'may nafkemina, if he's going to count or he's not going to count. And if he has to count, so the majority of Bnei Yisrael are counting. He has to count. From that we understand the Gedel Ha'inyan, when you count, you are counting something yet that you are not balabait, but you revealed and you know that there is a day and a night that pass by, and it's starting a new day, and he's becoming closer to Matan Torah. So the Rebbe says in Sif Yud, this is the power of counting. The halacha says when you count something, a dover nifla is happening that cannot be nullified. And when you counting is Yushpa Shefa Rav Bechol Eilamis. In all the worlds, even in Eilamis Eilienim, it's not bottle. He's becoming balabos even on the Eilamis Eilienim. Through his tefillah, to Sfira Sa'emer, is Yushpa Shefa Rav Bechol Eilamis. Next page, Sif Yud Gimel. The Rebbe continues, says, that der Inyan of Beis HaMikdash is connected especially with Aleph Be'iyah. It says in Tanakh, in Melachim Divrei Hayom, that this is where Binyan Beis HaMikdash started. Binyan Beis HaMikdash Orishe. So everything that happened later, even the Beis HaMikdash Ashlishi, it's coming from the Beis Rishon. In Sif Yudale, the Rebbe says, right after Aleph Iyah, then when we're counting Sfiras HaEmer, every night that we're counting Sfiras HaEmer, we say, Horachmon uyachzir lono avedas Beis HaMikdash limkeimo bimheira b'yameinu. Means that the third Beis HaMikdash is in a few details like the first. Even the Oren is, the Oren will not be a new Oren in the third Beis HaMikdash. He says it's the same Oren that Moshe Rabbeinu made in the Mishkan. And it was in Beis HaMikdash Rishon. So we see when we pray, we are praying for the Beis HaMikdash Ashlishi. So this is the power of Sfiras HaEmer, that we asking, when we are counting the Eimer, is Yushba Shefa Rab B'chol Eilamis, and then we asking Hashem that He should bring us Avedas Beis HaMikdash. Sif Tez Zayin, he cannot understand. He's Mekayim HaMitzvah Midrabanan, and he knows exactly his situation. And he knows with this mitzvah midrabanan that he's doing, the Beis HaMikdash Hashishi will be built. It's been 1900 years. He can't wait anymore. We tell them that's the emes la'amite. It's hier versteht jetzt, he versteht nicht. He's mekayim the mitzvah from Sfiras HaEmer. And like it says in the Siddur, you have to be mechaven to the sphere of that night and to the Teva Achas from Ono Becheach and Teva Achas from Elokim Yichonenu and one letter from the Posuk Yismechu. So that was Tofshin. Now we are going to Tofshin Mem. You have to realize that everything that's happening in the world is connected with the Nasi Hadoyer. So what's so special about the year Tofshin Pei Dalet? So here we're going to see what the Rebbe said. In Tofshin Mem, we're going to understand what's happening in Tofshin Pei Dalet. The Rebbe says like this, it's becoming Vayhi Bishleishim Shana. It's going to be 30 years. And what's 30 years? Sekumen zu naye inyonim legamre. It's become, there's new things happening, completely new. The Tzemach Tzedek explained, Vayhi b'shleishim shono, it's 10 eures pnimim, 10 kelim, 10 eures makifim. The Rebbe continues and says, when it comes shleishim shono, the hafotzas hatere, hafotzas hamayones has to be in a eifen chodosh legamre, has to be completely new. And at that time, those who remembers that year Tofshin Mem was a song Vayhi b'shleishim shono kiflaim letushia. The Rebbe was talking, everything has to be double. And here is a Verbringen of Resh Chedesh ניסן Tofshin Mem. The Rebbe didn't understand, he's talking that it's Shleishim Shana and the Elam schlaft. The Elam is sleeping. So the Rebbe says he wants to wake up the Elam, and he's going out now with a new campaign. That was the campaign of Heshiv Leivavis Albonim. And that's going to be something new, that it's going to wake up the people from the Tardema. So those who remember, it was a huge, huge miftzah 2 weeks before Pesach, the campaign from the Heshiv Leivavis Albonim. So here, the Rebbe was talking a lot about the Fabringen, about the Inyan from Schlafen, and here is what the Rebbe says by the end of the Fabringen. The Rebbe says, Chayev Odom Lema Beloshin Rabbe. I heard from my father-in-law a story with the Rebbe Maharash. He told me a detail that when the Rebbe Maharash says Amayim Chassidus, they was closing the doors, and if somebody was sleeping, they called the Meshares, and the Meshares had a box a Kestel mit Chernitze. And they brought the Chernitze to his nose, and he wake up. The Rebbe says, I didn't know what Chernitze is. Even now I don't know. But I asked my father-in-law, what is Chernitze? He told me this is a Sharfe Tabak. So the Rebbe says, if we're going to close the door, it's not going to happen, because they're going to break the doors. So better not to close the doors. But what's the story with the Chernitze? We're talking about Avas Yisrael. We cannot be mevazed the other one. And heeft on chichen, and heeft on husten. And the Rebbe says, Yehirotzen, everybody should find his Chernitze, and halten the pushke with the Chernitze in his keshene, and oder unter nose, and for sure it's going to help that he's not going to sleep. And befrat that we're going to sing now, Mi Mitzrayim Gealtonu, is going to take him and us and everybody from Golus and bring it to the Gula Amitis Vashleva. Here I want to share with you this paper on the year Tov Shinun. The Rebbe spoke the first time about Melech Poras. This is what in our base Chabad we publicize in 1991. This is the Medrash that the Rebbe was asking to be mefarsim. On that time the Rebbe explained Poras is Iraq, but now Poras is Kipshute, and you can see the Rebbe asked V'chol hamar bebozeh harei ze meshubach. The Rebbe was asking to be mefarsim this Medrash. What's amazing is every time that the Rebbe was bringing the Medrash, the Rebbe took out one line from the Medrash. That the Melech Poras Machri V'Skol Ha'elam, he took out. He says V'chulu. We understand that the Etzem Inyan, that he's making a panic in the world, it's enough. But we see Beferish, we saw in this Chedesh ניסן, we saw Poshet, the Meredek Nisim, after Iran attacked Eretz Yisrael. We see that it was Meredek Nisim, so we can realize that it's happening. Bonai al tisyaru. Hashem is telling us, don't be scared. Kol ma she'osisi le'osisi alo bishvilchem. Why are you scared? It's higia zman gulaschem. So many times the Rebbe was speaking, and it was for later. So now the Medrash is becoming word by word happening in front of our eyes. And now we're going to go to the Rebbe's Kapitel. That's the next copies. The Rebbe's Kapitel, the new Kapitel of the Rebbe explained. The Rebbe explained when it was the Yemuledes of the Rebbe Rashab, Chov Cheshvan Tov Shimem Gimel, he explained, Eilecho, you can see when there is in Sifyud Beis, Eilecho nososi es einai hayeshvi bashomayim. This is the Perek Tilim of the Yemuledes of Kuf Chov Gimel. Bad bevad, with his askuse bavidose beinyonim achinaylem. He's very busy, very high in yonim. Eilecho nososi es einai hayeshvi bashomayim. He's not satisfied, he's davening and he's demanding. In a Eifen Shturen, Choneinu Hashem Choneinu, Ki Rav Sovanu Vuz, Rabba Sovolo Nafshenu Ala Gabuz, Daihainu, he cannot support, he cannot tolerate this long golus. And he's asking, should be the Siyum Keitza golus. Some Jews are thinking they learn in Torah, they know the whole Torah, they can be like stecken in Golus. It's good for them in Golus, Rachmon and Son. Etzema Uvda, that he thinks that he, Yedei Sater Kulo, shows the Gedol Achesher that he's Nimtzo, and Oiva avoid to his learning Torah, when he says it's good for him to stay in Golus. And the next page, the same page, but the next Omed, he says, we bring him a proof from the Siddur. The Siddur says, Kilishu oscho kivinu kol hayem. We're waiting the whole day. He says, Siddur, it's not for him a Siddur. He can do a pilpul in the Rambam. So the Rebbe says, but it's a psak din in the Rambam. Mitzad echod, he's machiz of his Gedol Hanove, that he's not a pesach halacha because he's just learning the sugis in yeshiva, and he's mefarsim beifer shetfus. And then he's paskenen heper divrei Rambam when he says he can stay in Golus because he can learn Torah. Heper divrei Rambam that the Chachomim and the Nevi'im was waiting nisavu lemeis HaMashiach. Why are we talking at this inyan zeh? Because some people, they are impressed and can make on them a bilbul. Why are you impressed what the guy is saying when he's paskening heper divrei Rambam? Bichlal, why do you care and why are you interested to know what he's saying? Onu ein lonu elo divrei hatera azeis ve'ein lonu lishon elo avinu shebashamayim, and we have the heroes of Rabbi Seinu Nisienu that we have to do afot samayanis and waiting for Bias HaMashiach. Here is a Verbringen of Miketz Tovshinun Beis. When we see such a darkness in the world, you can see the Rebbe says, when we are getting closer to Bias HaMashiach, that's the reason why the Choshech, the darkness, is becoming bigger. Biglal hisgabrus hakdusha. Why because the kedusha is becoming stronger, so then the Umazeh is becoming also stronger, that he's menagid to the Bias Mashiach Tzidkenu, and then we have to lilchem yama menagid, yilchem mechemes Hashem tu v'nitzach. Then to the left, it's a siche from the Rebbe Ha'azinu, Chelek Chov Dalet. The Rebbe says like this, all the details of the Shire, even the Divrei Techecha, that explaining not only Hatzur Tomim Pole, that says B'tchilas HaShire, and the Rebbe says very powerful words that it's important for us, Davke, this year. The Rebbe says, Alle me'eroes von Eden, everything that's happening with the Jews, even some that looks like Heipech HaTev, Hashem does that for one purpose, the Geula ha'amitis ve'hashleimo be'achis hayomim. Everything that's happening is steps in the Seder of Aliyas that's going to bring the Shleimus HaTev for Yidden. And then will be Nizgale Malchus Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu B'Shleimus. Here is a Verbringen, Shabbos Miketz, Tovshin Daled Mem. Why I'm bringing this Siche connecting with Moshiach. It's possible to realize that this year is a year when we talk to people that they are not inside, they are outside. They don't know the Rebbe Siches, they didn't learn, but this year it's much easier to talk to the people, everything that the Rebbe was demanding and asking, because we are telling him that what happened this year on Shmini Atzeres is a result from not listening to the Rebbe. So I'm just bringing one Sichet to see how the Rebbe was screaming. Look in Sif Lamed Aleph. The Rebbe says like this, everybody agrees that what happened in Heskeme Camp David is a tos chamura b'yesef, very severe mistake. All the me'eroes and everybody agrees the tos when they gave back the land of Sinai to Mitzrayim. And then was the Milchemes Shleim HaGolel, that was the war, Lebanon War, the first one, on 1982, Tovshim Beis. The Rebbe says, Kedei lehasig amator hayutzrichim techef umiyad. The Rebbe was very, very disappointed. I remember this Fabringas, why they didn't go into the Beirut. And once for all, to be potter from all the terrorists. Or you send them away from Lebanon, Pizuram Bishora Rotzes. On the pale, there was Reit Fisholem that they mix in to find Nisias Cheminai, and they didn't let the soldiers to go into Beirut to finish that, and they stopped in the middle, and they left the soldiers that the terrorists can very easy to kill the soldiers, and it's a matzav that brought a lot of korbanos Hashem Yikim Domam. And the worst matzav is you starting something and you being stuck in the middle. Poiseyach al shtei asipim. Tanakh says about the words of Eliyahu Hanavi to Bnei Yisrael, Ad Mosai atem peischim al shtei asipim. And then the next, V'alder ze binyonenu, they start a pula that should be laftiach Shem Bnei Yisrael, and they paid a very heavy price. There was korbanos. And after that, they stop in the middle. And poischim ashtei asifim. They didn't finish. They led the soldiers chashufim lebgir mitzad, and all this limtzechen beinei agoy. The Rebbe says even America was interesting to finish the Sima Pula Bishlemusa. And Keteitzor Mizeh, we come to a matzav that they wanted, that we have to be Meshachet thousands of Mechablim. And they're going to go back to their place and be Mamshir Achmon Litzan B'chol Pulei Sehem. The Rebbe says we're not talking about the Machlekes that was in Eretz Yisrael. If we have to be Meshachet thousands of Mechablim for Shichurim from 6 Jews, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the Heipech from Yaakov, the Sheresh Abaya is Regesh HaNechitzes B'fnei Agoy. The next page. And then the Rebbe says that there is in the end of Seif Lamed Gimel, that there is Jews that they are going the Shitta from the Misyavnim. They brought to all the Machdalim, Sai Mechamesim Kippur Heskem, Camp David Mechames Shlom HaGalil, Ulepele, they have Atzlocha to have a shpor on the Memshola. And this Misyavnim, they can be Jews that they are putting tefillin every day, but in this Nekuda, they are Tineke Shenishbu, they are getting this spoil from the Goy. The Rebbe asked in Sifla Medalet, what's the Te'eles? We spoke so many times, and it's not helping. The answer is the nature of a person. When you put a knife, when you cut a knife, the little finger, he's starting to scream from pain. And when we're asking him, why are you screaming? Is the screaming will make that the pain will be less? He says, no. He's not a tipish that it's going to help. He knows that we have to call the doctor, but the first reaction is screaming. And what's the reason? Because there is a cut in his finger. He has pain. And the nimshal is moving the posh. So the Rebbe is talking so many years, screaming. What's the nimshal? That the Rebbe was talking so many times about the Matzav in Eretz Yisrael, and they're not listening. But the Rebbe says, one eitzah for sure will help. To add in the tefillah, this is the year the Rebbe came out with the campaign to say Hareini Mekabel before davening and Ach Tzadikim, this for sure will help. And this eitzah chayeves leheil. And bevadai, this tefillah will be miskayim, that should be Yeshu Yishanu Etzpanecho, leishev b'shalvo. The next Verbringen is Achen Shepesach Tovshim Em Gimel in Tzitzi Vov. Why we don't say Shechionu the last days of Pesach? Because man, we are in Golus, we cannot say Shechionu of something that is connected with the Gula Asida. So talking about that we are in Golus, it's Me'erer Atshuka and Atzipio to the Gula Asida. And that's the reason why Rabbi Seinu Nesienu, there was always talking about why we don't say Shechionu in the last days of Pesach. To be me'erer umadgish, the desire, the tshuka, and the waiting for Gula Asida. And the Rebbe says to be mekasher, the tshuka and tzipir Gula mit the diburim for Rabbi Seinu Nesienu, why we don't say Shechionu, with the psikta that brought in the Maimon for Nachash Pesach on the Pasuk Imcha Mekeh Chaim Be'echonier. What's Be'echonier? Which air that Knesset Yisrael is Metzape is Eir Moshiach. V'neisef lazeh, the tshuka and the tzipiyot to Gula Asida, when somebody is waiting, he's breaking the goals by his waiting, because the tshuka exprime the ke'ev, the pain that the Jews has on the Golus. And when a Jew has a pain, why he's still in Golus, this is how he's breaking the Golus. So the Rebbe continues in Siv Zayim, when we explain to a Jew, he has a very strong shaila. Haytochen. Dafke the last days of Pesach, we don't say Shechionu. Ubifrat, it's all the einzige Yom Tov that we don't say Shechionu. Shavuos we say Shechionu the first day and the second day. Sukkot we say the first days and the last days. Shminat Simchat Torah. Only the last days of Pesach we don't say Shechionu. On that we answer him, the reason why we don't say Shechion is today that you should ask the reason. Like the Shinuyim that we do the night of the Seder, that the children should ask questions. And then they're going to explain to you, because we are still in Golus and we cannot do Shechion on the Gula Hasidah. And then he's going to have a tshuka and a bigger tshuka to the Gula Hasidah. Then the next page, the Rebbe continues, and he says, it's not only that you're talking about the Gula, in Siv Ches, it's a dibur that the Pnimis HaNefesh is revealed, and can be a situation that Nafshe Yotzo Bidvori. In Siv Tes, the Rebbe says, we are talking about Gula Hasidah should be Techef Umiyad the Gula. If somebody is asking if the Gula is coming Techef Umiyad, where is Eliyahu Hanavi? Eliyahu Hanavi didn't come to announce the Gula. The Rebbe says there is a psak din of the Rambam that there is no obligation that Eliyahu Hanavi should come before Mashiach Tzidkenu. In the end of Hilches Melachim, the Rambam says clear that the Eliyahu Hanavi will come in the beginning of Yemei Mashiach. The Alpizeh, we can explain the words of the Rambam. What's happening if somebody says Hareini Nozir b'yom sheben David bo? So there's questions, how could that be? Eliyahu Hanavi didn't come yesterday. The Rambam paskens that Mashiach Tzidkenu can come before Eliyahu Hanavi. So ain't tzorech lema that when Mashiach Tzidkenu will come, he will answer how he came before Eliyahu Hanavi. Ledas or Rambam, it's not, the question doesn't exist. The next Farbrengen is a very sharp Farbrengen, and it's a Farbrengen that the Rebbe was talking to us to wake us up to Anash. The Rebbe says that it's a Boim Shona from that Farbrengen, and a very, very strong Farbrengen that can explaining also what's happening now in the world. Sif Yud Beis. The Rebbe brings the Novi Scharia. It was Beyim Esrim ve'abo le'ashte oso chedesh u'chedesh Shvat. Hashem was talking to Scharia Novi. He's telling him, Roisi alayla in ish rechev al sus adem emet be'adasim vayem emayla adeni amen adav ani areko ma'im ayla vayani ish emet be'adasim. And he says, Zeila shesholach Hashem sal ba'oretz vayanus malach Hashem emet be'adasim vayim yisalachnu ba'oretz v'hine kol oretz yisheves v'sheket. It's very quiet in the world. And then he's saying to Hashem, Ad Mosai, you're not going to have Terachem es Yerushalayim ves Or Yehuda shazavto zeshivim shalom. And Hashem answered and continues. Vayemer elai malach David, Hashem is very angry. Ketzef Godel, I'm angry on the Goyim Hasha'ananim. Ani kotzafti me'at, I'm angry just a little bit, and they made it worse. Lachem keomar Hashem shafti Yerushalayim berachmi. That's a nevuah that was says Esem V'Abon. Sif Yud Gimel, the Rebbe says like this. What's the story of Ketzef Godel ani Ketzef ala Goyim Hasha'ananim? What Sha'ananim? The Goyim are in a matzef u'menucha. They don't have any worries. So why is Hashem so angry? How come the Goyim are sitting Sha'ananim? They have no worries when Bnei Yisrael has Yisurim in Golus. Bnei Yisrael are suffering. Not only the Goyim they don't have pain when they see that the Jews are suffering, but they add more in the Tzores. See if you dalit. Bishlema the Taine that the Goyim are adding in the Tzores and Golus, we understand. Afal Pishe Etzem Ha'uvda. The fact that the Goyim are meisif on the Tzores of Golus is a heichoche, that there is a pirtze in the anhoge of the Jews. Lule says it's impossible that the Goyim can be meisif on the Tzores of Golus. But the question is, the Rebbe says, why Hashem is angry on the Goyim that they don't have pain that the Jews are suffering? Why it's so important that the Goyim, The Rebbe is asking why in Sheva Mitzvahs B'nei there is a chiyuv on the goyim to have pain on the tzoros of the Yidden. And what can the goyim add, help? They cannot change the gzeira of the golus. So the ma'inav kimina if they have pain. So the Rebbe explained as well, first of all, it's part of the Sheva Mitzvahs. One of the tzivuim is Eiver Min Achai. If the goyim has, they have to, one of the mitzvahs is, they have to make sure should not be tzar b'alechaim. Alachas kamo v'kamo, they have to make sure there should not be tzar of bnei Adam. And then the Rebbe continues and said, the next page, 986. The taina of the Eibishter till Ketzef Godel is that if the goyim will feel the pain of the Yidden, they will make easier the pain of the golus of the Yidden, they will help the Yidden. So the Rebbe is asking why it's happening that the goyim, they don't feel the pain of the Yidden. So in Sifte Zayin, the Rebbe says, the reason is because there is a pirze in the behaving of the Jews. There is Jews that they don't care the fact that they are in golus. They have everything. Everything that they need in Gashmis Ruchnis, they don't care that they are in Stulgol. They are b'sheket, b'mnucha, sha'ananim, without worries. It's true in his davening, he's saying, v'sechzenu enenu b'shuv cholitzim b'rachmim, and he says, as Tzemach David Avdecho Meir Satzmirach, Kishos Rakimim Kolayim, he's asking 3 times a day, and for sure he's mechav pirush hamiles, but 5 minutes later he forgets what he says by davening, and he goes back to his routine. Mitech menucha v'shalvo v'sha'ananus muchletes. Hayitochen that in the time of Golus, a Jew should be shanon and not have worries. How can he be quiet when he knows a situation of bonim shegolu mal shulchan mavir? When we say Kiddush Osla Kivinu Kolayim, it's not only there's a few minutes in the day that he's thinking about the Gula. It's Kol Hayim, the whole day. It's impossible that a Jew should have a tnua and a regesh from Lishoas Kivinu Kolayim if he's waiting the whole day for Mashiach, and in the same minute he doesn't have worries. When the Jews don't have worries and sha'ananim, what's the wonder that the Goyim doesn't have pain for the Jews? The Rebbe continues, Sif Yud Zayin, and here starts, he's talking to us. He says, from where comes sha'ananut kazu b'bnei Yisrael? He says, the problem is with Roshechem. It's been a long time that we are tumbling every occasion. Daloi goals. Jews cannot take the matzav of goals. The taina of the Novi. Ad Mosai atolet rachem Yerushalayim. Comes a Jew to a Chosid Chabad and asks him, tell me, what's all this rash and screaming, cannot take the goals, you want Mashiach now? I'm also a religious Jew. I daven 3 times a day. I believe in the coming of Mashiach. I never heard such an inyan. We have to scream that we cannot take the goals. Why you, the Chabadnikim, are making a noise about and screaming about that? Where is the Moki and Teres to such a behaving? So then, the Rebbe says by the Fabringen, Shabbos Mishpatim Tovshin Daled Mem, the Chabadnik hears the question, and he got confused, and he has no answer. The Jew knows that this Chabadnik was by a few Fabringens, 3 Fabringens, 3 times 3 Fabringens and more, that we are talking that the Jew has to scream that we cannot take the Golus. Kenish vertrogen the Golus. When he asks a question to the Chabadnik gets confused, doesn't know what to answer. If he doesn't know what to answer, means he doesn't have what to answer. Means that it's a good question. mit der Ishtik oder Eidele. He met with a Jew be'ashgocha protis kedei he should have an impact on him. That he should be in a matzav from waiting for the Geula, that he cannot rest. Lepel, not only he didn't pale on him, but the Jew, he realized even the Chabadnik doesn't know the Moker and Torah. He doesn't know what to answer. Hayitochen that we're speaking so many times about this Inyan, still there is people, they don't know what to answer. If this is the Matzav Advarim, what was, the Rebbe is talking about himself, what he was pale in the last 33 years talking about this Inyan. Elamai, the Sibbe is the Sha'ananut and the Adishut, Ha'ochelet Kol Chekateve. He hears what we're saying by the Fabringen, and he's mishtadel not to miss any Fabringen. And then he's going to learn the Fabringen. And then he's going to make a book from the Fabringen. And he's going to put it on the shelf. Like he can look in the Fabringen. But this is a learning, not negea l'maisa v'peil. It's a limut stam. Like he has shiurim kvuim in limut haTorah. It's a chviv shebedover. He learns also. It's hilchas el-Mashiach. B'negea l'peil, le'noga v'le'poga. When he sees that his grandson is screaming and singing, we want Mashiach now. He looks at him very strange. Benegeh himself, he cannot pale on himself to sing, we want Mashiach now. Because it's hard to say that he's really waiting for Mashiach. Adrabah, he's very scared for Mashiach. Today he's an Odom Mechubad, he's an important person. He doesn't know what's going to be when Mashiach will come. It's going to be then Bilbul Kol Asdorim, and Bameye Nechshav Hu, he with all his dreyerai. Ad Gdekach, he doesn't merames atzmi to think that after Mashiach, after Bias HaMashiach, he will be a Choshev Erid. And the Gemara says, when they know that Mitech Sheyenin da Kodesh Baruch Hu Mitu Lekizvubei, how can he scream, we want Mashiach now? He doesn't feel it, be'emes. Emunah in Bias HaMashiach, he's okay with that. But to have a feeling, a pain for the Inyan HaGolus, a mamish waiting for Bias HaMashiach, this is, he has still a long way. And when he sees the people that's screaming and singing, we want Mashiach now, it's very strange by him. But what we're talking is not benegeh to himself, that he's in such a low level that he cannot wait be'emes for Bias HaMashiach. They have holosh bedover that he doesn't know what to answer to the Jew that is asking him, what's the mocker in Torah? That the Jew can think that there is no answer to this question. That the Chabadnik that heard so much about the subject doesn't know what to answer. Even it's missing by you the feeling, at least answer. Dama shetoshiv. And don't think that, don't be goyrem that the Jew should think there is no answer. When they get to the Etzem HaShaila, the Pele is, how can you ask such a question? This Hanhoge, to scream Daloi Golus, we want Mashiach now, it's not a Chidush that was in Ischadesh in the last years in United States. There is Ribui Psukim in Tanakh that talking that Bnei Yisrael, they cannot take more the Golus. Ad Mosai Ato Letrachim es Yerushalayim. And when we say Ad Mosai, what means Ad Mosai? We can't make it anymore. There is a few psukim in Tehillim, in Megillas Eicho, that the Jews are screaming, they cannot take the Golus. Every Jew, Afila Apostle Shebishutim, he knows what Tikkun Chatzeis is. Even he himself is not doing Tikkun Chatzeis. He never saw him doing Tikkun Chatzeis. But there is in the Siddur, there is Seder Tikkun Chatzeis. And what's Tikkun Chatzeis? To have pain, and to have Misabel HaKlolos in Agolus. Like he says in all the Psukim of Piyutim that we say in Tikkun Chatzeis, there's a lot of expressions that the Jews cannot know, they are not mesugal to be saved the Tsar HaGolus. And there is a Nuschois in Tikkun Chatzeis, that there is a piyut from Sheish Piska, every Piska start with Ad Mosai. When we're talking with him about Psuke Tehillim, he says, Tehillim, this belongs to simple person. Anoshim Shutim. I'm not a Ish Pashut. No. Lu Yikit Vora, but Tikkun Chatzeis belongs to Yehudim Bali Madrega. And Al Pizeh, what's the question? The whole Tikkun Chatzeis was based that the Tsar HaGolus is so big that he cannot he cannot hold himself, and he wakes up in the middle of the night to cry and to scream on Arichas HaGolus. Upshita that the kavone is not that after Tikkun Chatzeis b'chol yom hayiti mezumonim leil shishi he will go to sleep, and in the morning doesn't stay no reshem, and he will continue with the Regesh Shabbat. Hanoge Kazu is Heper Tachlis HaMechufim for Tikkun Chatzei Keposhe. When we scream out Mosai, it's impossible to stay Sheker v'Shanom because the whole day he's feeling the pain of the goals. So he's waiting to be as Moshiach Tzidkeinu in Ha'efem von Yishosra Kivinu Kolayim. The next Verbringen is Shabbos Mevochim ניסן Year Tovshin Mem Zayin. The Rebbe was talking very, very strong about the Geula. And you can see in Sif Tes, the Rebbe is saying, what's going to help? We're talking so many times. Es war a Verbringen after a Verbringen, and Leilei Hazoza, Leinoga Velepoka. We're talking about the Geula, in Teresh Bichsav, in Teresh Balpeh, and the Loshe for the Rambam. All the books are full. And we is Madgish, Kolu Kol HaKitzin, the last cat that was Nisgalet durch the Rebbe Nisiderenu when he says the Alter Ligula. And it's not helping. Lemarbe Hatzar ve'akev. It's not that we're not doing with a lot of energy, meretz and chayis. The tiny is that there is heder hap'ulo legamre. There's nothing happening. It's not that somebody is giving his finger and with that he can bring a big stone to Yerushalayim, like the story in the Medrash. There is no little finger. In their inyan, everybody becomes the biggest honor of who I am, mi ani, umo ani. There is Gdele Yisrael. He can sit b'mnucha. And even when we sing and we're screaming about the Geula, it's min hasofa v'lachutz, and kanire also min hayodayim v'lachutz. So the Rebbe is asking a question: what's going to help that we're going to speak again and again, and it's going to add another few pages in the Sikha, and the answer is there is a psak din of the Rambam that if you do one mitzvah, you be machriya yourself and the whole world and kaf schuz v'gerem leiv lahem tshuva tzolah. It's very simple. It's very possible that this dibur will be the one mitzvah that the Geula Amitis v'Shlema will come. Ve'id v'gam ze v'ikar ve'akdoma. Im mishum we can be satisfied machshava bilvad. Machshava teva is like a dibur teva. Kavonas hadibur v'zeh is as kule hai ve'ulai will be pale of somebody that is listening to do something. Then the Rebbe says, I'm not naive that this time it's going to help. But then the Rebbe says, it's mamish negir what's happening now. Now mamish in Eretz Yisrael. The Rebbe says, we're talking about pikuach nefesh. So we have obligation to do everything. Ala sofek, usfek sveke, even elef svekes. We're going to continue to speak about Moshiach mitech akshones. Maybe it's going to help. He follows Advarim Pulosam. The Rebbe says why he's not going to stop. Because it's pikuach nefashos. The Rebbe is wishing that we're going to be zeiche to Maaseh HaGeula B'Peil Mamash. So now that we are talking what we can do B'Peil Mamash, so we're coming now to the Verbringen of Shabbos Tazriya Metzeret Tinose. After the Rebbe says the Feierliche Wörter and Chof Ches ניסן, everybody was confused on what to do. So the Rebbe Tazriya Metzeret Tinose, he said very clear what to do. And you can see Hashe'ela, the question is Nistaimu Ma'aseinu V'avidoseinu Kozma Meshech HaGolus. What's the Derech Yeshara? What's the easiest way, the fastest way that a person has to choose to be poel the Hisgalus Ubias HaMashiach? So the Rebbe says, Sif Yud Beis, The biur of the derech yeshara leizgalus ubias HaMashiach is malchus shebetiferes benegel ma'aser beper. Behagdoma. Given that Mashiach Tzidkenu is coming, Emed lo v'techef umiyad, but adayin leibo, we need a last hishtadlus from every Jew to bring Mashiach. Has to be a pe'ula. Not malchus betaharasa, that's the in of Melech HaMashiach, but malchus shebetiferes. Mashiach, like he's in the Torah, tiferes. Because through Torah, the inyan of Mashiach is misgale al sarav, nimshochem u'misgalem also eres elyenim de agula, the inyan of Mashiach b'sei melech beifem, there's Mashiach al sarav, there's Mashiach al samelech, ubepashtus. What's tiferes is limud HaTorah. What's malchus shebetiferes? It's limud HaTorah b'inyonei melech HaMashiach, b'inyonei agula shizvar b'ribum kemetz. In Torah shebichsav, בפרט בדברי הנביאים, the Rambam says כל הספורים מלאים בדבר זה תורה שבעל פה בגמרא, especially בפרט מסכת סנהדרין and the end of מסכת סייטה, ומדרושים במיוחד פנים סתר היכל מספר הזיה, that בהי חיבור הדילוך יפקו במגולסו ברחמה. And the Rebbe continues and he says like this, ובפרט in תרס החסידס, to הפוצץ המעיין הזכות זו עושה מדו מלכה משיחה, בתרס רבסינו ניסינו, and the Rebbe says very clear, without remozim, he says, and to learn the Torah, the Mamorim, and the Likutei Siches from Nesi Dereinu, that when you learn Mamorim or Likutei Siches from Nesi Dereinu, that's me'ein, and it's v'dugma and ha'achone to the limud terasa shel Mashiach. Torah chadosh me'iti tetzet, that he's going to learn with the whole on pnimis HaTorah. And the heisofe belimud HaTorah b'inyanim Mashiach and Gula, that's the derech yeshara to be pale. His galus ubias HaMashiach. The Rebbe says in Sif Yud Gimel, ve'al shepeil basi, ubevadai will be mefasim chomokim. To be pale, the his galus, on the bias HaMashiach, techef umiyad. Every Jew, because Yoshve Ehel, somebody that learns the whole day, Yisachar, Bale Esek Zvulu, Noshim Etaf, we have to be meisif in limud HaTorah, b'miyucha b'inyan Mashiach Gula Mate, shebi bo rabim, bo asoro, Neisaf of the Mailer, that's Asor, Shechina Shubinem, these are Mailer Michedes, when 10 people are learning together, when they get his pilus and the Simcha Beregesh Halev, the Alidei Zeheleches and Godlo, when we learn our Hishtekekus and the waiting for Bias Mashiach is getting bigger. And the Rebbe says in Sif Yudalet, that the Pashtus in the Yom HaShabbos Kedesh, Parshas Isha Kisazriya V'Yoldo Zocho, Zeis Tie Teras HaMetzera B'Yem Taharosei, before the Kriya B'Torah, before we learn Alachas Kama B'Kama, before we learn Pirkei Avos Mincha, should be the leader and the Hisgalus of Mashiach Tzidkenu Chivra de Berebe Kfishu B'Yem Taharosei. That we gonna be Zoiche to hear a announcement in the whole world, in the whole Seder Ishtarshu, that Hine Ze Bo, Hine Ze, he's showing with his finger, Melech HaMashiach Bo, here is Nesi Dereinu, Kvei Tushas Me'ev Chomei Admon, Nesi Dereinu Bo, because there's going to be Hokitzu Veranu Shech Le'ofer, and Tzadikim are standing right away, Kamit Chim Yad, and all the Rabbeinu Nesienu, and all the Tzadikim Nesi Yisrael Meshuarin Imoen. The Rebbe says, B'yachad im kol b'nei Yisrael, b'noreinu, u'b'skeneinu, b'boneinu, b'b'neseinu, yedaka b'tzolov nikbotzov, me'ashu mitzrayim me'ayam. We're coming with Anane Shmayo to Artzeinu Hagdesho, to Yerushalayim Irakedesh, to the Beis HaMikdash. And the Rebbe's Chidush is that every Jew will come into Kedesh HaKadoshim when Moshiach comes. He says, the Parsha says, Bezeis Yove Aaron El HaKedesh. That was the Parsha of yesterday. Knisas Kein Godel B'Yem HaKippurim LeKedesh HaKadoshim. But Le'osid Love, it's not only Aaron. It's called Echad Ve'echad Misol will be in the level of Kein Godel. Mamleches Keanim Keanim Delim. Not only Yom Kippur, not also Bechol Shor Shureitze Likones. So should be Techef Yad this night when the Rebbe is screaming, Tut alt was ihr kennt, we should take it very serious because the world is shaking the Eifen Mavhil and we see that it's happening. The Chovches ניסן of this year, it's not Chovches ניסן of last year and not of 2 years ago. It's happening in front of our eyes. everything, the Simone, we see that Be'ine Bosso. So today, we have to make sure every one of us try to learn the Inyan Moshiach, try to organize Shiurim, and the more that hidden, and I can tell you from my experience that when we are talking to the Jews about Moshiach today, it's much easier than the years before. And Sudas Moshiach was 500 people that came in the rain, in the wind, and it was people walked 45 minutes. People walked from Ville Saint-Laurent. People walked just to come for Sudas Moshiach and to be there and to ask and to mourn for HaKadosh Baruch Hu to bring Moshiach. So we should take it serious that it's happening. The Rebbe's words are Kodesh Kodoshim, and it's happening in front of our eyes. Like we saw this year, what the Rebbe said many years ago. I'm talking the year Tov Shelamet Ches, Tov Shelamet Tes. The Rebbe was screaming about Camp David. I was a Bacher learning in Alter, but when we heard the Rebbe screaming about Eretz Yisrael, the Rebbe was not, it was such a screaming. The Rebbe was saying, you're putting millions of Jews in danger. And I was going on Mitzrayim. I went to the Israeli guys. I went on Broadway. And I told them what the Rebbe is saying. They was laughing for me. Yeah, you Rebbe, he doesn't understand nothing. It's Shalom now. We're dancing in the streets. Sadat came to Mitzrayim. What are you talking about? It's Shalom. Now we find out that Mitzrayim is behind everything. And we're starting to understand what the Rebbe says on Tov Shelamet Ches against the Shalom with Mitzrayim. So we should realize that every word of the Rebbe is Kodesh Kodoshim. And if the Rebbe says, if you believe in the Rebbe, there was once Reb Zalman Goaria spoke, he says, I don't understand. You believe in the Rebbe in everything, but when it comes to Mashiach, you're starting to have doubts. But that Mashiach, that was the most important, was the Etzem HaNefesh of the Rebbe was about Mashiach. But you believe in everything. You believe in all the brachas that the Rebbe is giving. But when it comes to Mashiach, maybe yes, maybe not. So we should realize that what the Rebbe says is happening, and we have to push and get ready. The inyan that the Rebbe is asking, learning in Yoni Mashiach, should become a inyan ikri. We should take time to learn the inyan for Mashiach and push it and organize shiurim in the meaning for Mashiach. It should be a koch and a shturim in the meaning for Mashiach. And Be'ezras Hashem will be zoiche, teiche for miyad mamish. And I want to share with you a story that happened this year in our Beis Chabad. Like you know that we have a hall, so people are coming to have weddings. So there's a guy, he came in from France. His name is Mr. Ben Laish. And he's asking me, are you related with Raskin in Morocco? I said, yes, it's my father. So he's telling me, let me tell you a story with your father. He says, my father-in-law, Mr. Mar Eli, was a teacher in Morocco. And Baruch Hashem, he had a few children. And his wife was pregnant. And she has a very, very difficult pregnancy. And the doctor says, must take out the baby because his wife is in danger. He asked, and they told him, Al pi halacha, yes, you can do it, and you have to do it. And he's walking in the streets of Casablanca, and he meets my father. And my father said, Mr. Marelli, what's happening with you? Why are you so sad? I told him the story. He says, I know I have to save my wife. It's pikuach nefesh, but I don't want to take out the baby. My father told him, what's the problem? Let's write to the Rebbe. They wrote to the Rebbe. And the Rebbe's answer was, don't take out the baby. Everything will be good. And the guy, I'm talking you to a story that happened this year, other Tovshin Pei Dalet in Beis Chabad Kotluk. Mr. Ben Laish is telling me, you know, this little girl that was born in the 70s, B'schus the Rebbe, that the Rebbe said, don't take out the baby. It's my wife. And tonight we are bringing to the chuppah our son. And I feel a deep hashgacha pratis that the chasana is happening in the Rebbe's house because I had everything that I have is a bracha of the Rebbe. So this is a little story that happened, that was revealed this year, that gives us a wake-up call. And nun darf sagen L'chaim.
Ich sage, die meisten müssen mal ritzen.
Nun, nehmt der Mic.
Nein. Ich hoffe, ich hoffe, hey.
Yeah.
Ich habe doch einfach verbringen hier am Schabbos.
Say it in English, please.
Ist irgendwas schlafen, dass man verbringen.
Every Shabbos.
Was?
Say it in English.
English. Ich hoffe, ich hoffe, hey, the Rebbe started verbringen every Shabbos. And there were a lot of people, unfortunately, they weren't used to every Shabbos verbringen. They were sleeping. I think it was Pashas Tildes, if I'm not mistaken. So the Rebbe told the Meisim, the Shemaritze, that Friedrich Rebbe told the Rebbe that beim Rebbe Marash hat geschlafen dort mit der Gem Shemaritze. The Rebbe told the story. Then the Rebbe said, I was wondering why did my Shved, the Rebbe, tell me the story. Now I understand. So I was thinking then, the Rebbe Topshin Yud, the Rebbe didn't want to become Rebbe. Just as I often Maisa, the Rebbe said Barabim, that he told him this whole story, one day he'll become Rebbe. He should know what's going on. The Santa Maisa, I remember I was Rebbe Brengen. By the way, by Hebrew Shleishim Shona, bin ich nicht geiles. In 9 weeks, Messiah can come 65 times.
Der Fall darf aber stürmen darf man.
Das Leben ist ein Problem.
No, darf stürmen.
Das ist ein Problem.
No, wir darf stürmen, aber wir soll sein Gimmeltamus mit dem Reben. Wir darf stürmen.
Gimmeltamus mit dem Reben, Yerushalayim, mit Kiddush HaKadosh.
Ja, aber...
Darf man das sagen?
Ja, 100%. Aber wir darf stürmen.
They asked me from the Kinders they should speak about Mashiach Sefer Torah because it's Esrim Shona. Mashiach Sefer Torah was Esrim Shona from Tavshin Yud, Tavshin Lamed, Esrim Shona. From Tavshin Lamed, from Tavshin Nun Dalet, Tavshin Ayin Dalet is Esrim Shona. So that was Kaddish Chedesh Kis. I said, but the ever I'll speak, okay, but nicht on by Hebrew Esrim Shona. They didn't use Esrim Shona. I said, Esrim Shona, ganze Mann. No, but Hebrew Esrim Shona. Mesiach Sefer Torah is Kaveh Baruch L'Chaim. L'Chaim.
When it was Shivim Shona of the Rebbe, was the ganze Welt was in a COVID. The ganze Welt.
Shivim Shona ist nicht Gimel Tammuz.
Nein, aber jetzt mir warten.
Aber Gimel Tammuz ist ein anderer Zugang. Da kommt ein Reben Dollar Mater, Rebbe Avrom, weißt du, Rebbe Avrom. Da kommt ein Reben Dollar Mater.
Shivim Shona ist, aber so sich sein mit den Reben.
Oh, das sagen.
Aber es muss sein, als stürmen.
Nein, ohne gesagt.
Der Rebbe sagt, es ist neue Union im Legamen.
Ich habe so Schleichen schon, ich muss nur sagen, ich habe schon, ich habe gesagt, Heule ist hier.
Ich hätte Schleichen schon ab.
L'Chaim. Da haben wir mit aller Mathe, wie allein noch Hein, auf Kess nicht.
Was ist Heintag bei ihm schon? Was Heintag bei ihm schon? Was Heintag bei ihm schon? Heit mir noch gerne nach dem Rambam. Ach bei ihm schon.
Oh. Heint mir noch nicht mal.
Kann sein.
Wow.
Ich will Bier bei Shem, aber da habe ich gesagt, ich will Bier bei Shem. Ich denke, verbringen. Ich wundere, was das Lernen, das soll die meisten ist, der weiß.
We want Mashiach now, 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 we don't run away. Ad Mosai, do we have to wait? We want Mashiach now, we don't run away.
when it was Shivim Shana, was COVID. The whole world was shaking. Shivim Shana with the Rebbe. This year, B'madgish, the Shleishim Shana that we have to zechzer mit the Rebbe. This is the Shleishim Shana. So it has to be by everyone, Tmimim, Yom Gelait. We have to realize the Rebbe says that there is Naye Inyonim Legamri. That's the Lashon of the Rebbe. So Naye Inyonim Legamri means that it's going to be the Gula. And that's why this Naye Tkufa, the Naye Zman that the yeshiva is starting, has to be such a shturen. In learning, in davne, has to be completely, because now we're starting now the Hachone to Gimel Tammuz, but not Gimel Tammuz, Agolus dike Gimel Tammuz, a Gimel Tammuz mit the Rebbe, that the Rebbe will verbring with us. And this has to be, we have to wake up. The Rebbe says everyone should find his Chernitze and wake up from his Tardema. He's a Grise Tardema, but we have to wake up. We have to realize that everything that the Rebbe was speaking 40 years ago, 50 years ago, it's happening now. All the siches of the Rebbe about Shleimus Haaretz, I choose star a sicha ze b'derech Chagav, and the Rebbe is talking, mamash, what's happening now, that that they are stuck and they are not advancing. Korbanis. I remember I was helping my father I was head counselor. We talk in the year Tovshim and Beis. In 19, there was the Muhammad. There was a jeep of police in Morocco, but there was a camp, and it was the night of Yud Gimel Tammuz, and everybody was sleeping. The whole camp was sleeping. We have a Meridi Ketshuka. We want to listen to the Rebbe. So B'schus Rav Yechiel Yosef Zeitlin, he was one of the shluchim. We got connected to New York. And we heard a Verbringen of the Rebbe, Yud Gimel Tammuz Mem Beis, 1982. The Rebbe was screaming, why you are not finishing the war? The Rebbe gave a dugma, somebody that is having an operation, and the doctors has rachmones because he's bleeding. He says, let's stop the operation now. So the Rebbe says very clear, Yamot, everything that Rachmona Litzlan, all the korbanos, everything that's happening, it's because the Rebbe saw everything. So we can imagine that everything that the Rebbe was screaming about the Geula, and the Rebbe was talking about Melech Poras in Tov Shin Nun. The Rebbe, the first time the Rebbe was speaking was Shabbos Rei Tov Shin Nun. And this is where the Rebbe started the Shturim from the Giyazman Geula. Now it's not Melech Poras. The Rebbe Demelt was explaining Melech Poras is Iraq. Now it's Melech Poras Kipshute. So we have to realize that's it. It's happening. Higia Zman Geulaschem. And we saw in Chedesh ניסן, we saw that there was such a nisim when Iran attacked Eretz Yisrael. There was nisim, Poshet, like says the Medrash. Al tisyoru. Don't be scared. We saw it Be'inei Basar. So Be'ezras Hashem, where the Rebbe says that Eretz Yisrael, 3 weeks before, I remember there was Shabbos Shmei Tovshin Nun Aleph, I brought a whole bus to the Rebbe. The Seder was, we were going from Mont-Real Thursday night, coming Friday morning, and Shabbos afternoon, everybody was sitting by the Verbringen. Yeah, verstanden, and nicht verstanden, everybody sitting by the Verbringen. But the Rebbe, he started to scream about what the guy says in Bnei Brak. He says that there's going to be a Shoah, there's going to be a Holocaust. The Rebbe was screaming. And the Rebbe says there is not going to be another Holocaust. And the Rebbe says if there is a problem with the Averis of the Yidden, it says clear, Pedei Elekim es Yisrael Mekel Tzoresav, take care before all the Tzores, and then V'hu Yivdes Yisrael Mekel Avenesav.
That was Asar B'Tevis.
That was the beginning. It was Asar B'Tevis, Shabbos Vayichi, and Shabbos Shmeis. The Rebbe continued. Nun So I remember I was sitting with the Kvutze, and we saw that the Rebbe is not talking to us, because the Rebbe was screaming, was talking to Hashem. It's B'nai Yechidesha Malach Malcham Lachem HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's going to be Nisim, and there's going to be only Nisim. we saw something like Moshe Rabbeinu talking to the Eibishter. And Baruch Hashem, this is what happened. This is Be'ene Basar, that Milchama, Milchemet HaMifratz. We saw only miracles. But the Rebbe was upset after the Milchama. The Rebbe says, where is... The Rebbe says, Mamash, a few days before Chav Chesed was a Siche. Wir darf sich nicht schämen, zu Aruis gehen and tanzen, to dance for the Nisim that happened. So this is what's happening now with Melech Poras, with all the details. Melech Poras, with Melech Harovi, Melech Aram, all the details. So we should be zeicher to see that Be'ene Basar, the Higia Zman Gulaschem, and Poshet. The Rebbe is, what the Rebbe wants is that we should feel the pain of the Golus. But to feel the pain of the Golus, we have to learn Chassidus for that. We're not talking feel the pain of the Golus, the Gashmis, the physical Golus. Feel the pain of the Golus, why there is no Fabringens, why there is no... You have to have the taste of a Fabringens, so we have to learn the Fabringens. We have to have a Geschmack, listen to the Rebbe, a video of the Rebbe, a Fabringen of the Rebbe. We should have a koch in the minyan. We should be me'ere ba'os at shuka and at tzipio that we can't wait anymore. That we want the Rebbe to come Fabring with us. So I remember there was in Morocco, was a Jew that he came, a lot of people was coming to buy a stadium. And one of them was a guy, his name was Mr. Waltner. He was living in Bnei Brak. But he was coming, he was a Secher Asrim, so he was coming Einstein by my father. And was always be Vikuchim wegen was hat sich gerät sich in Bnei Brak. And my father took the tape of Chav Dalet Tevis Man Beis, where the Rebbe was screaming, Hayitochen, a Jew is saying that we can stay 2,000 years without the Golan, means that he's saying that we can stay another 2,000 years in Golus. So the guy, he was asking me, tell me, how is a Fabringe? I told him, listen, we're finishing davening like 12:30. It's just time to make Kiddush. It was much, much before the time of Vad, Suda Shlema. There was no Shalom, there was nothing. It was just time to make Kiddush, Nabisel Ashtiko Mezenes, and the Rebbe came down to Fabring. And sometimes the Rebbe Fabringed, and right after the Fabringen was Mincha, and after Mincha was Ma'ariv, and everybody was walking through the Shabbos was at night. He gave a scream. He says, Oi! Where's the Einik Shabbos? I told him, Einik Shabbos? Einik Shabbos was to be by the Fabringen. To see the Rebbe's lichtik upon him. That was Einik Shabbos. It was a simple thing.
Da viel Latein Scholen, als je mehr aanlegt, Latein Scholen wie de Sude Shabbos. Dat is gemakkelijk. Verbringen die besser wie de Sude.
So this is the time now, in the year of Shleishim Shana, we cannot accept to be one more day in Golus. This is what the Rebbe, what was the Rebbe talking, Chav Chesed ניסן? How come es nicht angefragt, that heint is nicht gekommen, es nicht angefragt auf morgen, to be me'erebas, at shuko, at tzipio, that we want the Rebbe to verbring with us. We want to have a schus, we deserve that, the Rebbe has to come verbring. So, but for that, everyone, every young man, every bocher, every Shabbos should learn a verbringen of the Rebbe. Before you eat the chant, geh a duch a verbringen of the Rebbe, have a koch, put yourself to get a gishmak in the Rebbe's verbringen, a gishmak in the Rebbe's siches. The Rebbe says clear that we have to learn the Maimorim and Likute Siches from the Sidareinu. L'chaim, l'chaim. Nu, wie geht der neue Nigen? Choneinu Hashem. Wochen darf wissen. Who knows the new Nigen?
Ein Nigen nicht dort. Es ist mein 40 Nigen. Es war einer.
We see in the Rebbe's, the Naya Kapitel says, Allah Sha'ananim. He's talking about Sha'ananus. So when we just learned that together, the Fabringen of Shabbos, Mishpat, and Toshid al-Men, everybody's zubrachen bei sich, what's happening today in the world, how the ganze Welt, the whole world is standing against Eretz Yisrael. But the Rebbe in this Fabringen is explaining, how could it be that the Goyim don't feel the pain of the Yidden? How could that be such a thing? The Rebbe says the whole reason why the Goyim are Sha'ananim is because but the Yidden is Sha'ananim. That there doesn't exist this matzav, that we can't wait. So this is the Aveda of this year, Halag HaSha'ananim, to be mevatel the Sha'ananim, and we should have the pain, feel the pain of the goals. And the Rebbe says, also a Fabring that we learned today, Acher Shepesach, Tov Shemem Gimel, the Atzem Inyan that we're talking, that we cannot say Shechionu. On the last days, this is Me'erer, the cave of the goal, and the cave to brech the goals. And who was the first one? One of the famous story with the Techter from the Frierdiker Rebbe, and the Rebbe brings in a Siche, in the Kutzi Siches Chelek Lamed Zayin, in the Heores, he brings Mushke sagt. He brings a word from the Rebbe Tzachai Mushke. That Rebbe Tzachai Mushke, she was a little girl. She was mamish a few years old. She says that the Yom Tev of Acher Shepesach cannot be a Yom Tev like the other Yom Tev. V'horayim, we don't say Shechion. So the Tov Shechav Gimel Chafei is when a ganze Koch, the Rebbe says that a little girl, and the Rebbe compare like Miriam, that she said to her father. So by the Rebbe Tzachai Mushke, we saw that she was feeling the pain of the Golos. So she said that Acher Shepesach cannot be a Yom Tev like the other Yom Tev. So l'chaim, mi soll zecher sein, sich sehen mit der Rebbe Dolle Mato, wie hu yigalenu. Teichef und miyad mamish l'chaim. Exactly yesterday is 70 years from the Nigen Tzomel Chonafshi. My father had the schus to be there. Shabbos, Kedoshim, Shabbos after Pesach. The Rebbe, yeah, it's the first Nigen. So the Rebbe is asking if somebody knows the Nigen Tzomel. No one knows. Then with Tamor, somebody is starting to sing it. So Molecho. Nah, the Rebbe says it's not this. The Rebbe says it's a Nigen from the Alte Rebbe. And people try the hair nahin. And mitamo. Mitamo, my father is telling the story. He says, mitamo, we heard like a voice from Gan Eden. Somo lecho. We hear the Rebbe's call. The Rebbe started to sing Somo lecho.
Eigentlich 70 Jahre von der Rot gelaufen.
7 Shana.
Heim.
Von was?
Somo lecho.
Wie kann man auch Rebbe sniegen mit nicht gewusst? Das ist schwer zu verstehen.
Was hat der Rebbe so gelernt mit Nazain? Noch was gewinnt bei Simchas Torah?
Ja, gewinnt, man soll noch ein Abschau.
There was before the Seder of Simchas Torah. It was the first Nigen.
Simchas Torah, Shabbos.
Shabbos,
Kedoshim.
Kedoshim.
Das ist gewinnt Shabbos. Das ist das, da geht Leben Shabbos.
Yeah.
Wie kann es einfach alter Rebbe an Nigen, aber nicht gewusst am Nigen. Schmolz Alman dafür gewinnt dort. Das ist viele Ploje.
Darf sie fragen?
Ja, ich muss gewundert. Das ist eine von den 10 Nigunen. Das ist
Von der Alte Rebbe?
auf alle Themen, Stoff schon Kap Gimel, in Schnaß Akar. Ich werde es einfach bringen, mit so Shabbos und Sonntag. Der Rebbe gebeten, wir siegen alle Nigunen von alten Rebbe. Das 10 Nigunen. Ich muss gewusst die Nigunen erfüllen. Viele Rebbe Yale. Mit gesungen, das waren 6, 7. Der andere ist, aber wenn wir sind Sefer Nigunen, mit da Miuchas Ladmur azoken, etliche Nigunen. Wir wissen, selbst 10 Mamisch weiß man nicht. Klar, auf das.
Nein, weiß man nicht.
Was? Okay, die hat mal, der Besniegel, die Knuas von Schmai Yisrael.